The short answer to that is no. But I'll explain why. My Black experience in America, the Black experience in America is on a spectrum.
Okay.
My experience was at the side of the spectrum that filled me with a lot of self-hatred, and shame when it came to being anywhere attached to African culture.
Right.
I'm biracial, my mom's white.
Mm-hmm.
She raised me with her white husband.
Okay.
So I didn't have Black influence in my young childhood.
Hello, welcome to the Great Return podcast, a podcast focusing on wealth creation and African development for and by people of African heritage, both at home and abroad. Today, we are discussing changing perception diasporans have about Africa. And to help us with that discussion, we have Sarah Enawin, an African-American lady who 3 years ago took a leap of faith and moved from America to Ghana to settle. And now she is a diasporan entrepreneur living in Ghana. So Sarah,
Hi.
welcome
Thank
to the
you.
podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We're really pleased to have you. So we're going to delve straight in, and we're going to look at how diasporans are programmed to think about Africa. So to do that, I would like us to look at growing up. For you, growing up in the US, do you think you were made to feel proud about your African heritage growing up in the US?
The short answer to that is no.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll explain why. My Black experience in America, the Black experience in America is on a spectrum.
Okay.
My experience was at the side of the spectrum that filled me with a lot of self-hatred, and shame when it came to being anywhere attached to African culture.
Right.
I'm biracial, my mom's white.
Mm-hmm.
She raised me with her white husband.
Okay.
So I didn't have Black influence in my young childhood.
Mm-hmm.
My family didn't talk badly
Mm-hmm.
about Africa or about Blacks. I never even heard them call anyone Black.
Okay.
But my mom, in moments of protection, I would hear her say things like going to school, having to check the boxes for race.
Right.
They say you have to choose one. She's like,
Okay.
but you're not Black. You're both,
Yes. Yeah.
She
That's
was saying that
difficult.
out of love and protection and acceptance.
Mhm.
But so the messaging that I got was very white.
Yeah.
And even fast forward, coming to Ghana in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
my idea of Africa had since expanded,
Okay.
but I still didn't know, I was expecting it to be like dusty and barren and, like more of a desert. And you come to Ghana and you're like, I'm living in the rainforest.
Yeah.
There were just, and I don't know, you get this sense too from people in America that Africans are not capable,
Mm-hmm.
that they're not intelligent
Mm-hmm.
enough to
Mhm.
develop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not true.
No.
But it's put out in a way, no one would ever walk up to you and say, oh, don't go to Africa. They're all stupid and lazy there.
No.
No one would say that, but you get these, questions, these doubts. People like, oh, you're going to move to Africa?
Mhm.
Like, is it safe?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you going to do for work? How are you going to make money?
Yeah.
Those are like the initial questions that people ask.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you can come here with that expectation that it's barren.
Yeah, of course. Do you feel that the avoidance of people actually talking about Africa, especially when you are sort of your father is African, and your mom is from America, white woman, do you think that actual avoidance of the reality actually made it worse for you in terms of who you were? Because it's as if part of you wasn't being acknowledged, recognized. And do you think growing up with that, it probably was some kind of a burden that you're not sure of? Do you think for you, and probably for a lot of people like you in your shoes, would feel there must be an issue, or would feel not connected to themselves, not being able to be proud of who they are in totality, but having to sort of pretend and move in one direction?
Yeah, there's a lot of denial.
Yeah.
And for me, I think the one thing that lasted throughout my life that I wished wasn't there was shame.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear about it a lot, especially now with mental health being discussed more. But really, I don't know if a lot of people even understand what shame is. I didn't understand that I was feeling shame for so long until I was in my late 30s. I'm in my mid 40s now. But that shame, it's you don't think you're good enough.
Yes.
You don't think you're enough. There's something wrong with you. And in my mind, it was always like, okay, well, if I can just say things in a better way, if I can just show them, it was whoever them was, be it at work, be it friends, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it created a lot of shame and self-hatred that I didn't even realize was there.
Yeah.
I also thought that when I was younger, like middle school, high school, I thought that Black and African American were two different classes within a race.
Yes.
I thought African American was like respectable and, just like an upstanding member of society. Yeah. I thought Black was like hood and ghetto and like criminal. But that's just what you get when you're in the white world.
Yeah.
That's the reaction that you get to Blackness. You get these unspoken statements of disgust.
Yeah.
You get these unspoken statements that you don't belong, that you're not going to be capable. I can't tell you how many times I had people like with their jaw on the floor as they're talking to me because they're like, you're just so smart. You're so articulate.
Yeah.
As a 17, 18, 19-year-old, it didn't bother me. I was like, thanks. Yeah. I'm so glad you see that. Oh, as you start getting older and you realize nobody's saying this to any of your peers that you're around. You're the only one that gets this surprise.
Yeah.
I started to have a better understanding of just exactly, how racist a lot of people were, even though they could never say it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know that even like places like, I suppose even here years ago, South Africa, is this idea of putting race on a scale is what you're talking about.
Colorism.
Color, yes. Because the lighter skin you are, it's like you're better. Even just as a person, let alone in intelligence, and you're just a better person and you deserve better. And
you have greater worth.
Exactly. You have, yeah. So for me, I grew up in Ghana. I was born here, primary school, secondary school, university. And I find it interesting. I found it interesting when I went to the UK, because growing up in Ghana, color just doesn't really come in. Apart from people say, brony or the white lady in describing you, relationships are relationships, and you don't really, it's not acutely, especially for somebody like me who is part of the community. I suppose when somebody comes, a white person comes, there's some more reverence and other things that people, which is problematic. But for me, being part of the community, everybody knows me, is just a way of describing me. However, speaking with people at an older age, I always realized that because I was in the midst, especially from primary school through to secondary school, everybody I see mostly were Black people. All my friends were as in skin tone. To me, I've always seen myself as a Black woman. That's me. So I think sometimes when in the way I talk, I say certain things and people are like, how are you? But that's how I see myself. So it became more acute to me when I went to the UK, because somehow I saw myself different. And until I spoke to people, I don't think I realized that they saw me as just one of them there. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But to me, I don't see how. And then you get to know them, like you get talking and you realize, actually, I see myself as a Black woman. I don't think a lot of people see me like that. And this is where the culture and the upbringing and, just how you see. So for me, this class thing, it was more when I went to the UK that I started feeling, some of the negative things when it comes to color. But growing up here, no, I didn't experience anything like that, which is interesting because I see that when African Americans and people come here, they have the same feeling of, oh, everybody is like me. And you don't feel like there's any kind of issue or anything like that. So, yeah.
It's one of the nicest parts about coming here. And it's one of the things that makes you feel the most free.
Yes.
Being here.
Yes.
You don't understand what microaggression, racism is doing to you on your in and out day-to-day life.
Yeah.
You don't understand how compressed your spirit is being, even if you're not like having to fight it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You're constantly either having to dismiss it, ignore it, face it, confront it, but it's always there.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like us to now talk a little bit more about the negative perceptions that you were taught to believe about Africa in depth more, as in growing up, the sort of mindset you had about Africa, sort of how people sort of made you think and feel about Africa, which is a part of you, but then it wasn't a part of you at the time. You didn't think.
It was, but I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
After I became aware through the ancestors, I was shown moments in life, where it was there and I was connected, but I had no idea what it was.
Okay.
Until I was older.
Yeah.
As you were speaking, so I didn't get to grow up with my pops.
Okay.
I met him in my adult life.
Right.
So that's where we developed our relationship.
Okay.
When I had this notion that had I been able to spend some time with that side of my family as a kid, I would have been filled with all of this pride and love for the Black community, and I would have appreciated that I was African.
Yeah.
But when I moved here and I told my pops I was moving here, he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll never be coming to see you there.
Oh, dear.
And I was like, oh, wow. My Black family has these reservations about our homeland, too.
Yeah.
And when I asked him why, he's like, it's too scary. What if I'm old and, and I got to be able to get around. What if I get sick? I've been here 3.5 years now, and he's talking about possibly coming next year with his brother.
Look at that.
Just from hearing some different perspective.
Yeah.
We in America, I can't speak for anywhere else because that's the only place I've lived.
Yeah.
It's an absolute mentality there. It's very much absolute mentality we're supposed to grow out of when we're teenagers. So that society is really keeping us in this, teenage mindset of there's only one way. So when we get outside And we realize, like, when we hear things there, we think they're truth.
Yes.
Because we've
Absolute
been
truths.
indoctrinated to think that if it comes from America, it's true, it's valid, it's, substantial.
Mm-hmm.
And just from him getting to hear a little bit different perspective through my experience, it's already changed his mind about coming here.
Yeah. So just a bit more on your pops. Did he grow up here?
No. My family, African American.
Okay.
For generations from Virginia. He's from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
When I started asking about our family history, I was asking my uncle.
Okay.
I'm like, Uncle, where in Africa are we from?
Right.
And he's like, just because you're African don't mean you was a slave. And I was like, okay. So where in Africa are we from? He didn't know.
No.
We don't even know our background of enslavement within the United States.
Yeah.
Whenever I would ask, were we enslaved? Their answer is, I'm sure, but it's not something that was passed down verbally.
And I suppose it is not talked about again.
It depends on your family. I have friends that know who their family was, who took them, bought them, sold them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From Africa?
No, from America.
Oh, from America. Okay, so they know more about their history within America.
Black culture is just as varied as Ghanaian culture.
Okay.
You have, especially because of colonization.
Right.
You have people that are a little more like my pops who are very assimilated to white culture. Mm-hmm. He loves white women, the way he talks and operates in life is very similar to the average white middle class family.
Yeah.
You also have people that are very proud of their African heritage and take trips to the continent and have come home and and there's everywhere in between.
Yeah. So
you can find even within the Black community, people that have the same mindset about Africa because it's just so common.
Yeah. The thing is, even I was in the UK for a long time, but I am actually born and bred Ghanaian diasporan, if you follow what I'm trying to say. So for even people like me who are from the continent and grew up in the continent and then they are in the US, UK, I think even for those people, sometimes, especially after living there for so long, if they are not the ones that keep coming home all the time, you do start losing a lot of our identity and pride of the continent. And again, it is all about what is being sold to us, isn't it? And there's a lot of propaganda about Africa that we need to open our eyes to and maybe educate ourselves more, think about the deeper meaning of what we are being made to believe of other places, that they are the best, everything from there is the best. We do have to start questioning all those things. So despite those negative perceptions that you sort of were brought up with about Africa, what motivated you to actually suddenly get up and say, I'm coming to Ghana, I'm just relocating to, it
was pretty sudden.
Yeah, and it's a big step. It's a huge step. It's not like I'm visiting. I'm packing and I'm moving.
I got rid of everything I owned came with me when I came.
Yeah.
And I had no plan.
No plan B.
I had no plan A. I had no plan A. My plan A was learn as much as I could.
Get here, learn as much as you can.
So I did have a plan.
Okay.
But I didn't have a vision for, what the future was going to look like. It really was, I don't know. I came. So leading up to it, I think COVID probably had a lot to do with it because of that time and space. And I took that time and space to really try to grow mature, and heal. And through that, I was able to open up a direct link to my ancestors. They started talking to me. And they showed me they'd been there my whole life with me. You know, I didn't meet them until I was in my 40s. I was driving in the car one day and they came to me, like introduced themselves to me. You know, they were like, we're here, we've been here. And I was just getting this big hug.
Okay.
They're like, we've been here the whole time. Like some of the hardest moments in my life, you know, like with my dad, my stepdad, his mom, she was terrible to me. You know, she really made me feel bad. But they sent me an image of being in her house and playing with, she collected elephants.
Okay.
They had sent me this symbol of themselves. It's like an army. It's so many of them. They sent me this image of an elephant to represent, you know, my ancestral family.
That's strong.
And they showed me in my step-grandmother's home, you know, they're like, you know how you found peace playing with those elephants? They're like, we were there. We guided, you know, we showed you.
Right.
They showed me like in 5th grade when I didn't have anyone. They're like, you didn't have anyone, but that I had the one little Black friend at school, you know? They're like, we made sure that you got to have her. Like I didn't get, you know, we separated after that year, but they were just showing me these moments. They were like, we made sure that you got to meet people that would keep me connected enough.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 40, I had a day where I was like, I need to leave here. I wanted to leave America in 2004. I was going to go to Italy. It didn't happen.
Okay.
You know, this has always been an idea that I had that I needed to leave America.
For some reason.
Yeah. And it just came together when the ancestors came through and said, go to Africa. They're like, how many times have we crossed over? They're like, why would you not be okay?
Yeah.
You know, why would you not make it? We've been doing this for thousands of years. Why would you not be okay?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay. And 4 months later, I was here.
Wow. It sounds like your move is a lot more of a spiritual, you know, healing, connecting thing for you. So, I mean, for me, because I come from here. So in terms of having been in the UK for all those years, part of my coming back, it's more about what Africa means to me, what home means to me, what I think the work that needs to be done. So those were my motivating factors in coming home. But I think part of it also is a connection. You feel like no matter how successful you are abroad, there's something missing. And because I suppose I wasn't visiting as much, maybe if I was visiting as much, I might have sort of still felt the connection both at home and over there, because I had a good life there. I had friends. So it wasn't that. I had people around me. I made good friends of all, of all people. So it wasn't as if that was a problem for me. It's just home is home in a way. And if you don't give home what it needs inside you, you miss some kind of connection that you feel you miss something, but you don't know what. And I think that was it. And when I started coming home again, I realized, yes, connection is you need to be centered. And it's not to say being in the UK, but I needed to be home as well. You need to be connected to your people.
And I stopped feeling at home over there. I got to a point I couldn't name one of 50 states that I would feel comfortable settling in.
Yeah.
Like where I could feel safe. I didn't feel safe anymore.
Yeah.
And I had like almost a white feeling of safety. I was never afraid of cops. I didn't understand that they might do something to me because of the way I looked. Yeah. I talk like, I never had any problems, but I didn't even understand that there could have been a problem.
Yeah.
Like when you present a certain way and talk a certain way, you can
maneuver in the system. So you think your color, your upbringing within the white, family system actually gave you the privilege of even being comfortable, feeling safe in a way, as in what other Black people wouldn't feel safe, wouldn't feel comfortable when maybe...
I think it's the white entitlement. I got enough of that ingrained in me.
Okay.
So I was always back and forth between this blazing confidence, entitlement, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
My family was not of means, they were low income.
Okay.
And then we're able to get into middle class.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's privilege there, but there's also a lack of privilege at the same time. And I think I just had the right mix of both.
Okay.
For it to all culminate at this time. I've been able to release the shame of being African, and accept it. And I've also been able to be confident enough to just go out into the world and do things that other people may not have been because of that. I was raised like a white kid.
Yeah.
I didn't get taught that the world can be a dangerous place for me just because of how I look.
Yeah.
So that came a little later.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you've been in Ghana the past 3 years, and actually experiencing things firsthand, would you say your perception, how has your perception of the continent changed compared to the sort of indoctrination you were given in the US?
Well, I came here with very little information.
Okay.
Let's say I came with 1%, and it's growing and expanding. I also understand, a lot of times we say Africa. I don't know Africa.
No.
I'm learning Ghana. One thing I can already put together just by being on the continent and interacting and, learning about other places. I'm getting to know a lot about the culture here. I'm getting to know a lot about the history. I'm putting a lot of pieces together for myself. I've heard the story from over there. I've heard the story from over here. So I'm trying to take that bird's eye view and put the two together here.
Yeah. Yeah.
My perception, you coming here, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I just thought that Africans would be so different. Because in America, why would we hate Africans so much if they're so similar to us?
Yeah.
And then I come here and every version of anyone you could find, probably in any country, is here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. The personality types, the funny guy, there's somebody that's always joking. There's somebody that always likes to have fun. There's someone that's so serious and they just want to get their business taken care of. It kind of to me was it made me realize I could just leave behind everything that I was taught and come here with no expectations and just learn as I go.
Yeah.
When I see something that happens, if I'm like, wow, this seems strange, what is it? Just get more information. I don't need any of my past training or programming, as I'm here. That was the biggest difference, is that Africans are just the same as everyone else. It looks different.
They're just as human as anyone else anywhere in the world.
The development is just at different stages.
Yes.
It's not even that we're operating differently. We just develop differently. When it comes to the base of who we are as humans and our motivations for why we do things, they're exactly the same in any culture.
Yeah. Do you think if you had actually given yourself more time to sort of think and come up with a plan and all that, do you think you would have sort of been here?
In Ghana?
In Ghana? You sort of, you were convinced you had to come. You were convinced.
Well, so I was convinced I had to come. I didn't know anything about the continent.
Exactly.
So I started reading about the countries that I knew and doing Google searches.
Yes.
Well, when you do a Google search, they're giving information for the white traveler.
Okay.
So all you hear, Ghana is the most peaceful country in Africa, so friendly. And I had been reading all these historical fictions where these characters, I just felt connected to them.
Right.
And I was, and I had this book that my friend had gifted me, you know, these children that got to do beautiful photo shoots in traditional clothing and talk about how much they loved Ghana and what they wanted to do and how they wanted to build and grow Ghana.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, if the children of this country feel that way, like there's got to be something, you know, they're doing something right. I want to start there.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that if I had researched further, I don't think I would have settled in Ghana first. I think I would have gone elsewhere.
Okay.
Now that I'm here, I'm leaning towards, like, most of me has decided to go ahead and stay.
Okay.
At least make this home base.
Okay.
You know, as I grow and develop, I might be able to do that in multiple countries.
Yeah.
Part of what's getting me to stay, though, is because of what I've learned since I've come.
Right. Okay.
You know, my idea of what I was going to see, I'm thinking like poor African culture, but really what I saw was colonization. Right. The first two things that I noticed flying over, coming there, you know, looking out the window like, oh, I'm about to go down there. What's The first thing I noticed, it was so green.
Okay.
And the second thing I noticed, I was like, this doesn't seem very African.
Okay. Yes.
You know, and then going around Ghana, I was like, oh, this is so British. Like you can just see the colonization in the buildings and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So the other thing after being on the ground that I've come to realize, and this is not something that a lot of people talk about. You know, I think most of the time when people are referring to or discussing with diasporans being in Africa and coming here, they only talk about roots. You know, like ancestry.
Yes.
And how we're going to spend money here.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What I came here because I'm on this spiritual journey and I'm doing so much healing mentally, physically, emotionally. I was looking at it more from how does it feel being around the people here?
Okay. Yeah.
What am I'm an empath. What am I feeling that they're feeling?
Yeah.
And, you know, the 3.5 years here, and the reason that I'm opening a business here, you know, especially with the industry I'm in, Ghana's self-worth is almost non-existent. When you meet people of Ghana, they are so excited to meet diasporans because we're from outside.
Yes.
The first thing they tell me, oh, America, that's the #1 place I want to go. And I'm like, make sure you come home. That's all, you know, just make sure you come home. There is a savior complex.
Yeah.
That it's global. You know, even in the US, like, you know, like within the Black community, there are some people that understand, you know, it's like a thing. You get a wealthy white.
Right. Okay.
But even in that community, it's like, oh, if you want success, you got to bring in a white person because they're going to be the one with money. That mindset is here as well.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of national pride. You know, like you don't see people walking around in hats with the Ghana flag on it. You don't see people driving around with the Ghana flag waving on their cars, you know, unless they're working like a government official.
Yeah.
I would love to help contribute to raising the self-worth in Ghana.
Yeah.
And I would love to see one of the side effects from that, you know, just be a national pride. I think that this, especially here on the coast, I can't speak for what it's like once you get midway through Ghana and further north. I've traveled there once. Very different vibe. I didn't get the same feeling. But coastally, the colonization was so rampant and so relentless and so consistent and so massive. What it's done to the psychology of our brothers and sisters here is devastating. Yeah. And that's one of the main reasons that I want to stay. It's not that this place feels comfortable and welcoming. It's that I know that I'm capable of operating here. There are people that welcome me. It's not on a whole, but there are plenty of people that welcome me.
Yes.
There are plenty of people here that will assist me and support me. And what I do can help more people than I could actually even interact with. Yeah. You know, that to me is important. That's part of being a pioneer of coming back home.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, for as long as I was detached from African culture, I'm here now, and I don't feel like running away to the most comfortable place here.
Okay.
You know, I've been through a lot of adversity over there, so I might as well use that
To
here.
Yeah.
There's adversity here. I'm a tough cookie, right? You know,
Yeah.
so I can
You've
handle
got to
stuff.
be. I mean, even to do what you've done, you've got to be.
This year alone has had massive big hits. Nowhere in it was I like, I'm going to have to move home.
No.
Because I could have that stuff happen there too.
That's the mindset to succeed. Because if you come and you're thinking it's all going to go smoothly, and so, yeah, you're happy. And then when things start not going, it's like living anywhere else. When you want to do something, there will be problems. It's how you deal with those problems, how you then move on.
Well, it's also about not forcing things. I
Okay,
came
yeah.
here thinking that I was going to be welcomed everywhere with open arms in this spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. And when you first arrive, you feel that a little
Yeah.
because people are good at using those words. But it did not take long. It only took 3 to 6 months to realize that that is not actually how it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying this as a negative thing, but I think for any diasporan looking to come here,
Yeah.
it's very important to understand the call for us to come was not a spiritual one. It was put out by a government. You know?
Yes.
That's not a spiritual call. We're coming back for this spiritual reason,
Yeah.
you know, and being hit with all these other things.
Yeah.
So part of it too was just not being like, just accepting, being like, okay, this is a little different than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to educate people about what my experience was like, you know?
Yeah.
Because people don't realize that I felt like I was escaping something to come to Ghana.
Yes.
And
then-
people are looking at me whenever I got here as this privileged white person,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, no,
It's not.
I wasn't comfortable. Like I was in pain. I was hurting. That's why I'm here. I'm here to try to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it's like we have to open up our minds for expectations as well.
Yeah. It's like some people will understand you on your wavelength, but you have to be prepared that other people, because their realities is very, very different. And they're probably looking at you as if you can actually do something to help them, you know. So don't come with sort of one view of things, because Ghana is like anywhere else in the world, the same sort of people and all of that. And when you're coming, it's like you're saying, the year of return, the government put a call out. Now, if you decide to come, you need to sit down and try to think about your reasons for coming and what you are hoping to achieve by coming. So you are very solid in what you are hoping for while you're taking that journey, not just because, oh, things are a bit hard in the US. Things are hard here. Or you think, oh, maybe I can solve this or that problem. That won't work. If you're coming, there must be a solid reason. Now, the other thing I want us to touch on briefly about since you've been here before we move on is in terms of feeling safe. So like before, the perception out there and the perception that is usually promoted is Africa is this kind of jungle. There's all these wars. Are you sure? Are you going to be safe? And all of that. How do you feel in terms of safety now that you've been here a while?
So there's different levels of safety, different areas of safety. You know, like I've dealt with theft from the home, scams and things like that.
Yeah.
I could deal with that anywhere I went.
Yes.
But as a woman, as a single woman, I came here alone. I have always felt safe in Ghana. I'm from the States, so I always have a level of fear about being out and around, especially at night as a woman. That doesn't go away. So I think that keeps it in balance for me. Like I didn't just come here and like start walking alone by myself. Like, you know, like, but when I lived in East Legon, I was comfortable walking home at 10, 11 p.m. You know, I learned that after some weeks, but you know, I was comfortable enough to do that. I wouldn't have done that in most places in the US.
Yeah.
You know, it would have to be a very short distance. Like, you know, they would have to be really right.
Yeah.
You know, there are different areas that I may want to, like in Elmina, I don't like to be out past 7, but that's, you know, it's just a different city. People move at different times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not feared for my safety. I think the times that I have felt that, you know, like you get to a police checkpoint, it's a flashback and trauma from stuff you've dealt with over there.
Right.
And you're worried that the same thing's going to happen, but the police aren't the same here as they are there.
Okay. So now I want us to talk about the impact of the year of return on diasporans. So the impact that the year of return has had on the diaspora Africa relationship, if you like. So would you say that the year of return has actually had an impact on the perception that African Americans or the diaspora in general has of Africa? Has anything changed? Because do you think?
I think it depends on which circle you're in.
Right.
I think broadly, many African Americans don't know about the year of return.
Yeah.
You know, I had no clue. I just happened to find it because I started researching.
Okay.
And through my research, I learned that there had been the year of returns. I thought it was in 2020. So when I came in 2022, my hope was that they would still have a very accepting attitude and that I may be able to get citizenship at some point.
Yeah.
Which I have. I'm currently a citizen.
Okay.
But yeah.
Depends who he is.
I think for some people, it made them feel like, okay, now's the time. I need to go home. And then I think there's a lot of people that they still don't even know.
Yeah.
But that's part of the negative perception about Africa. Many Africans don't stay connected, don't do research, don't follow the news.
No, that's
because
true.
It's just out of the mind. I don't even think it's purposeful. You know?
No. So from my experience talking to a lot of people, but then it's like you are saying, these are the people who probably are already looking. Therefore, the whole campaign, year of return and now beyond the return, it's because they are already looking. Therefore, they get to know more about it, and then that impacts their decision.
Or they've been visiting.
Exactly. But also, I think that since the year of return, maybe more both government and non-governmental organizations are hooking onto the sort of Africa, UK sort of relationships, having sort of creating bridges for business. And so I've seen a lot more of those things where you have trade, what do they call them? Like a trade mission to different parts of the US from Ghana, and then sometimes you have that from there back, and I think there's something going to happen from the UK to Ghana as well. So I think somewhat there's some vibe, but it is like you're saying, unless the people there are actually hooked onto these things and have networks that are involved in these things, it probably doesn't come to the radar of a lot of people. So we just need to keep encouraging that. Do you think we're going to see an increased trend of African Americans joining the Great Return, as in actually getting into the mindset?
Yes. I don't think it's because of Ghana's year of return. I think it's because of what is going on in the country.
Okay.
You know, people just being so comfortable sharing their hatred, whereas before they were hiding it behind closed doors. So I think that naturally more people are going to be coming here as it is. Some people that come here didn't even know that there was a year of return, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then they hear about it once they're here.
Yes.
So like for what Ghana's doing, like what Ghana is doing, people that end up coming to Africa and visit Ghana, it's going to help plant that seed of, hey, this is a place that you could relocate to.
Yes. Yeah.
If they visit other countries that don't have that kind of program in place, it may take a little longer for them to think of it.
Yes.
So in that way, I think that Ghana is helping influence, but I don't know if the influence is big enough to say that everybody that's, I think, yes, they're going to have an impact.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're the main reason that people are coming.
So the African countries need to make more of a positive case for people to either just look to visit, look to move here and settle, look to invest here. More of that positive case needs to be made, as opposed to, the current climate in it's not just in the US, but I'll say it's quite big in the US, where you're saying people are more open about how they're feeling towards, I suppose, people of like us, basically.
Non-whites.
Yes, non-whites. It's making a lot of our people think about moving out of America. But I suppose it's part of what we've just talked about. Is that reason alone a good enough reason for you to actually come and be able to stay and succeed and make the life that you want? You need to think more about it.
I think it's a good enough reason, but I don't think everyone is ready for it.
Okay.
I did a lot of personal, deep, like they call it shadow work.
Yes,
the dark stuff that most people avoid. I had already been working on that for 9 years before I came here. So I was in a very different headspace than I had been.
Yeah.
I was already coming outside of my, American societal headspace. So I think that made my story a success, when I would say I'm probably in a 5% category. If people did things the way that I did it, most of them would go back. But I don't think that, I kind of see it from a different light. I don't think that right now we need to be encouraging other African countries to put out these big calls for people to come home.
No.
Because what I'm seeing from Ghana is that even Ghana, they only thought about the call. They thought, well, let's get some diasporans here to come and invest, because they actually care about Africa. Like, they'll build something here. But that was kind of it. There was not planning. Like, they weren't ready for us.
Yes.
And there's not even a lot of us here, we just had our year anniversary of becoming citizens.
Wow. Yes. I've seen a lot of that on
524 people.
It was a lot.
Ghana's population is over 30 million. I mean, you do the math. It's very, very small. I think they had a bigger ceremony for the non-diasporans that were becoming Ghanaian citizens.
Right.
So like when I went to get my passport, that was a horrible experience because they weren't ready for me. No. They didn't know to expect me. So I think right now what needs to be done more so is those of us that are here that have come, the diasporans that have come and are trying to build something in positive ways. We need to get that messaging out more so that we can encourage people to think of it from that way. Yeah. Because what's happening is it's this idealistic message that's being sent out. And idealism is dangerous because you can get someone, you could put an idea out for someone and get them to change their life. And that's not really a tangible, they could never actually hold what you were talking to them about, but they're going to chase it. Yes. You know? So I don't think we need more countries to just make these open calls because I think that a lot of us diasporans could be hurt in the process. You know, it's already not an easy road right now because it's new, because there's not a lot of systems in place. We don't have a lot of support. You know, you have to go and try again and try, you know, a sixth and seventh time, and then you might get the right information.
Yeah. I agree with you in the sense of there wasn't a lot of planning and actually putting things in place to support people on the part of you know, authorities. But having said that, I also think in this world, for things to really happen, sometimes it just takes that disruption because now you find a lot of diasporans actually creating the support network. So
they're trying to build legislation for countries to help them welcome us.
Exactly. And people like yourself, like me, and so many of us who are already here on the ground are actually trying to do different things that supports diasporans. So I think in that way, we will still get there. And I don't agree them just saying come home per se, because as I said, there has to be a personal, deep reason why you are coming, why you want to disrupt your life and move here. However, what I think we need to be doing more of is actually putting a bridge in place between us and our people abroad, such that there will be more interaction. I think there should be more visiting to understand the people, the culture where we are all from, and why things are certain ways and all of that. And that alone will start creating the right shift in mindset that we all need. But as part of that, it is actually getting more of us to think, if you want to be respected, you want to be seen, we all need to do our bit for the continent to put it up so it is at par with everyone else. Then that way, it is a given. It has to happen. But if we don't, and we keep expecting somebody else to suddenly say, oh, because it is your right, I am going to ensure A, B, and C, it's not going to happen. So we need to take that. And I think more African leadership needs to find ways of encouraging, but also put things in place to support that sort of togetherness and bridging that gap and encouraging more of us to interact like that.
And if their motivation is business, they can still do that through tourism.
Exactly.
You could make it to where you could put a policy to where anyone of African heritage can get a visa on arrival to your country.
Yeah.
Make it easier for people to come. Mm-hmm. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So within the African American community, what would you say are some of the key the key reasons motivating them to come to the continent, apart from yours has been more of a spiritual thing?
Most people I know speak of Africa as the motherland,
right,
where their roots are, mm-hmm, where they can learn about tradition. Mm-hmm. That is, to me, I find the most common motivator for people that are going to come.
Okay.
Because Africa is not looked at, even though globally, when you go to the World Bank, Africa is looked at as a really good financial opportunity.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to personal level, mm-hmm, Africa is taught to be this scary,
exactly,
land.
Mm-hmm.
So most people coming here that I've heard of, it has been a spiritual call, because that's the only thing strong enough to wash out all of that, mm-hmm, bad training that we've had.
Yeah, yeah. And again, we shouldn't forget, I keep hammering on it. The perception of Africa is what it has been made to look like for reasons. And we should always try to educate ourselves more. I think that is the thing too that is lacking. We all need to educate ourselves more to understand the reasons certain things are the way they are, the reasons why Africa is portrayed the way. It's not to say there are problems, but the point is, it's no more dangerous. It's no more. In fact, other places are more dangerous than Africa.
I'm at greater risk physically in the U.S. than I am here.
So
hands down,
yeah. And we do have a lot of opportunities here, that our people should not be deceived into thinking there isn't. Therefore, you don't try to invest. You don't try to do anything. And some other people, they know, but the wrong perception is put out there, but they probably will be investing heavily.
Well, that's why I'm so grateful for TGR Africa, because you're showing another way to invest. When I think investment, like, because I'm not investment savvy or like in the finance sector or anything, like I only think of trading and stocks and things like that. To be able to allow diasporans to help businesses on the ground grow here through investment is beautiful. And it's one of the best ways to change the perception of Africa. I mean, where we are looking at is where the huge bottleneck is. And as much as we can support the SMEs, that would really push and propel a lot of, a lot of things in the economy, really. Yeah. Even the most important being jobs for people. So it's not like the only salvation is traveling elsewhere to be able to make it in life. So yeah. So finally, I'd like us to look at the role that the diaspora can play in African development. So the reason a change of perception is needed amongst our people everywhere, but especially diasporans, is because we truly believe that the diaspora can play a transformational role in the development of Africa. And what I want to know is whether African Americans are actually starting to see Africa as a viable economic destination to actually build real wealth. Do you think diasporans for you, African Americans, when you interact with people, do you feel they are now beginning to actually see that we can do something, we can build some wealth on the continent or not? I think a lot more people are starting to see it. I wouldn't say that it's a great majority. Okay. But just through networking, the more of us that are here telling our stories, explaining, the way of the land to those that are outside, to those that we know from home, the more that we do that, the more that knowledge will be able to spread. Yeah.
So from my interactions, right, it sounds like people are like, they sort of see. But when it comes to the doing, there is a lot of, so there's a lot of talk.
Because it's all idealism.
It is.
They're going back off of that idea. Like, I could go there with my strong dollar and make something.
Yes. Yeah. So I think
I'll be a cocoa farmer. Like,
At present that's the way where we are. I believe that's where we are. But it's still a good thing because we've moved. For some of us, like you say, it's not a great number. So we keep talking about this and it will help. So for some of us, we've now moved to this point where we're actually thinking, Africa can be a place to actually make some money. But to actually then believe, because of still the indoctrination, when it gets to the actually putting the money in, it's like, do I really do it? Or do you see? So I think people are there. And yes, we need to really look at what we are doing, do the due diligence properly. Professionally, get people who know what they're doing to help us do that. But we should also know that if we don't take that final step of actually doing, then we won't get there. No, do you see what I'm trying to say? So I think
there's a really big age gap for who comes as well. Yeah. Ghana has made it easier and is more willing to give residency to retirees. Yeah. So the people that are coming are over 60.
They are retired.
Because they have a stable income
Yeah.
that they don't have to be in the office for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another thing that could make an impact, is if we can help younger people feel more comfortable, because those are the ones that have to get here and do when they come.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
like me, you know, like we have to do something.
Yes.
Whether it's outside, inside.
Yeah.
We can't just sit around.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we need more education for younger people. You know,
Yeah.
we need more middle-aged people
Yes.
coming and learning, you know, just starting to visit.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I keep saying in terms of what we are trying to do, and when I've spoken to some of my friends, is to be encouraging them to involve their children. Because at the end of the day, we are just starting, and we won't go that far with it. You know, we can only go so far. It is the next generation, and more importantly, the generation after them, that is actually going to move this whole thing up properly. So we shouldn't forget, sometimes, especially Africans, we can, I don't know whether it's protecting your children or what it is, but we sort of take these decisions and do things on our own as parents. Even when we have grown-up children who have started working, we somehow don't actually involve them. We don't make them a part of the whole thing, the conversation and the doing. Oh, let's maybe try and look at doing something, putting some money into, you know, different things at home. And we need to start doing that, because we forget that we are of a certain age and we only have so long to work.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing is the next generation that's going to move it forward. So, and it's very important to involve them at the early stages, so they are with you through the whole journey. So don't just do things like we are all having these conversations and keep them to yourselves. Involve your young adult children, right? Even much younger children,
Yes.
where they can understand why you're doing what, why we are going home, why we are investing something at home, just through normal chat.
Yeah.
Just for them to be with you. Because again, it's that change of mindset. Because now they see you doing things, but when you talk to them, they actually understand. For you, for instance, your whole thing is spiritual. There's a lot of that let's say if you had children, imparting that to them is very powerful. And I do see people who keep coming and going, but their children are not a strong part of that journey. Maybe sometimes we think, but the children will know. They will know if you don't completely talk to them to understand fully why. So I want to see what you think in terms of the coming years, whether you think more African Americans are going to actually take the continent seriously when it comes to their search of a place of actually having greater economic opportunities. Do you think the trend going forward is going to be that more diasporans will actually take Africa seriously in terms of the economic opportunities available, as opposed to maybe keeping their monies in things in the West, in sort of investments in the West? Are they going to look?
So I think it would be kind of in phases to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
I think what would happen first is that as things escalate outside of Africa, you know, for diasporans, that spiritual call here is going to get them here.
Okay.
But once you're here, you learn the continent. You know, like once I was here and I knew that I wanted to stay, I wanted to become dependent upon the CD. I wanted to be I wanted to make my business here in Ghana.
Okay.
You know, I knew that my industry has a huge opening in it, you know, and it's needed. It's health and wellness.
Yes,
you know, I'm not trying to get people to like, you know, do hairstyles or, wear, but it's, it's like real serious work that they can use for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I think people will get here spiritually and learn that there is a lot of economic opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can get enough people, there will become a tipping point.
Okay.
Where then the outside diasporans are like, hey, this Africa opportunity, we need to be thinking about that.
Yeah. And I believe strongly that it is the stories we tell which makes or breaks what we are trying to do. And
just look at my pops. He would have never come here. And
exactly.
2.5 years later had changed his mind.
So that's exactly it. And the more good stories we put across, and I'm not saying just tell people the good stuff. It's just tell people in totality, because you wouldn't still be here if things were just not right. You wouldn't still be here. And that goes for a lot of us. I mean, those who stay, they stay because things do work out. They can be challenging, but you can work through them and things do work out. So
I think it's great for us to share our stories after it's resolved. Tell the story of the trouble, the hard times, but also tell what you did to recover and tell what you did to get through it. So hold off on telling your story right away.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that, they're calling it Blaxit from the US. There's a ton of African Americans leaving. They're not all coming to Africa.
No.
A lot of people are going to Portugal. Can you believe that? Before I moved to Africa, may have even considered that.
Yes.
I did not understand the history of Portugal. Why would I want to go and move there? There's a lot of people leaving the US and going to Mexico, South America. There's a lot of Afrocentric culture in South America, so I get that.
Yeah.
But we really need to share as much as we can. And it doesn't have to, we don't need to have 10,000 followers. But if you just tell the people that you know and love that would trust you and can change those minds, that will spread.
Yes. And also it's about when we're telling the stories, especially people are always quick to put out there what has gone wrong. We should try and put out there a lot of what has gone right as well, because there are things that go right.
And things going wrong isn't the only experience.
No, exactly. And quite often things go wrong, but in the end, you are able to right them. How did you do that? It's not just about the thing of the going wrong. How did we manage to turn the wrong into a right for it to then work? So a lot of it can seem sometimes that a lot of our people, the diasporans coming here, do look at what they can get from Africa, from the continent, in terms of returns. But I don't know if a lot of them actually think also more about what they can contribute to the continent, is if that plays a major role in their decisions and what they decide to do, and how, very importantly, and how they decide to do them. If their feeling of, I have a responsibility to develop Africa, is there and there enough? So this is a question. Do we think that people actually have that strong feeling of, I want to develop Africa, and whether they actually also see it as a responsibility?
I have a problem. I probably have an unpopular opinion about that. My opinion is that about 10% that come, that's really where their heart is.
Okay.
When they get here.
Yeah.
I think that also there's a lot. I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of different perspectives within that. A lot of us have a savior complex.
Yes.
So some people are coming here, they want to build something for themselves because they're trying to stay safe. We don't
Right.
feel safe where we come from.
Okay.
So it makes sense that we come here and we're trying to protect ourselves,
Mhm.
especially if you're dealing with diasporans that have been here less than 5 years.
Okay.
You know, I'm in my 4th year here. I've been here 3.5 years,
Yeah.
and I'm just getting to the point where, you know, I feel more comfortable navigating things.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I feel comfortable, but you know, I'm starting to feel capable. I'm like, okay, I can manage. So it's some people are going to come build their stuff and help one family, you know, because they're like, oh, that person's so poor. You know, we think Africans are poor.
Yeah.
They're so
That's the
poor.
savior thing as well. We feel they're so poor that we're coming to help them.
But most people are coming here just trying to feel safe and feel some peace.
Okay.
And so it's going to take time for those hearts to be able to open to all of Ghana.
Yeah.
It is doable if they can make it here, you know, because you see a lot of people coming here acting same way they acted over there, you know. We get upset about being scammed by Ghanaians. We're getting scammed by diasporans too. You know, all of that is here, just like there. You just have to be very discerning about who your networks are, and it's good to have purpose and vision coming here. The spiritual side of it is good, you know, but you need to find a purpose within Ghana to be able to make it long term here. And a lot of times we find that purpose in our businesses. Which the Ghanaian government likes that we're coming here to open businesses.
Of course.
You know? So they're like within that system, it can make it, if you plan well, if you do your research, if you study well, you can actually make it work here. There are a lot of things going in our favor. The system is not set up for us and ready, but because of the way things are, there's plenty to this scenario that we're in, you know, where we can really come here and do what we do over there, do it here, grow something for ourselves and for the community around us.
So I think in this whole idea of changing mindset, right, where we need to understand sort of the workings of the world, and some people, why some nations feel they are at the natural top, and why is that? And we have fed into that. Sometimes through no fault of ours, it's a lot of indoctrination, a lot of propaganda, but sometimes to us being too lazy to work things out for ourselves, to give ourselves a time to think about what's really happening and why should we feed into certain propaganda? Why are we feeding? We need to think for ourselves and how we need to think and do things differently for ourselves. So I think we need to start doing more of that questioning. But in that questioning is, okay, so if we want to make ourselves equally confident, equally developed,
equally worthy, how do we achieve that if we don't then sit back and think, okay, whose responsibility is it to develop our continent? What I'm trying to say is sometimes I think we really don't give ourselves the space to think about what we're doing, why we're doing it. Everybody needs to eat off what they do. That's a given. But there should be an underlying strong motivation, reason for still wanting to do specific things. And for many of the workers in the world, that is a privilege. Most people are so in need of, they don't have time to think about what am I passionate about? They're like, I'm passionate about feeding myself and my family and making sure that we have somewhere to sleep safely every night. You know? So part of, you know, you were saying, how do we do that? How do we make ourselves feel capable, more worthy? it starts on the individual level.
Yeah.
I would never have been able to come here and live in somewhere as uncomfortable and hard. I'm not saying that Ghana is an uncomfortable place to be all the time, but it can be really challenging to make it here. I wouldn't be able to stay somewhere like that unless I saw a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, to where I'm like, no, I'm doing this for a reason.
Yes.
You know, it makes it different. So I think the first step for everyone is to start work to where you learn that you are enough and that your worth is your birthright.
Yes, of course.
No one can take it.
Yeah.
And then that will put you in a better mindset coming here to be able to develop for Ghana.
Yeah.
Because if you come with a mindset of trying to feel safe, you're not going to think about anybody outside of yourself. So do a little bit of work on finding some inner safety.
Yeah.
And then come.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways to do it, because a lot of people get here and when things get hard, they get further away from that
Of
connectivity.
course, yeah. So for you yourself, would you say initially when you were thinking of moving here through your research that you were doing, and even just before you moved here, did you ever think that about African development as part of your reason, not at all?
No. I decided to move here and 4 months later I was here.
Yeah.
There was not.
No.
It was more about how I was going to feel.
So do we need to be talking more about these things so people consider them when they are even thinking, not even about moving, but actually about how they make their money and about where they put their money? So they actually think, you know what, Africa should be on my priority list.
Yeah, it's so hard because getting information in Ghana is really difficult.
Yes.
When you first get here, people are so willing to talk to you, especially once they hear your accent. They know you're from outside.
Yeah.
They're very willing to talk to you, very willing to offer help, but you're not always getting accurate information.
No.
They're giving you whatever information will keep you tied to them. So I think, a partnership, like a strategic partnership with Ghana Tourism Authority could be really helpful because, yes, what you were saying is true. That's the information we need to be getting out. How do we get it out?
Yeah.
There's such a disconnect. Like I'm in Central Region. Most people that come to Ghana, they come to Greater Accra. And if they go outside of Accra, they'll come to Central Region.
Yeah.
So I do get to, run into a lot of people, but most people don't know about the programs going on here until they get looped in and talk to someone else that's been through it and experienced it.
Yeah.
So finding a way to get the information out is really our number one roadblock.
Yeah.
Getting the information out. There are plenty of people here that are good at teaching the information, that know the information, but it's just getting them on a space where they have access to the diasporans as they're coming in. That's one of our main problems.
Yeah. I find that when you talk about African development being a responsibility for ordinary people like us, most people don't actually think along that wavelength. Both local people, and diasporans. But we diasporans actually need to understand that we are, if you like, a small sect of Africans who actually have the potential to transform things for the continent. We have the potential to make huge impact on the continent. And we shouldn't just take that lightly as like, maybe we could do that. We should actually think about it as a responsibility. Because in every society, usually it's a certain group within the society that makes a big difference.
Like your pillar
Yes,
people.
on the society. And we have seen, you see, the world, the way it is not static. We have seen some nations rise and then others come and rise and overtake them. We are now in a different era again where there are different blocks rising, overtaking the old blocks, and there's rivalry going on and all of that. But if we think about it, if they are doing all of that, then and we are not doing much, what are we doing for, not maybe as much for our generation, but for the generations to come? Where are we putting us, our people? We are just, we're just probably going there. So yeah, I think this is why the conversations, for me at least, is very important. Just nudging each other.
Yeah.
Saying,
Yeah.
you know what, we got to do something, because otherwise, where are we going? Where are our descendants?
And maybe we need to think about it as a legacy.
Exactly.
Instead of, and maybe we need to start changing the language that we use as we're sharing. Like we know that people need some influencing right now. So, maybe we can get better about the way that we describe what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So that people can look at it differently. Because, now that's making me think, if we just talk about things in day-to-day terms financially,
Yeah.
as soon as people hear the word Africa, they're already going to be shut down from it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we use words that are more powerful than the regular financial words, people are
Yes.
going to hear it differently.
Yeah.
And maybe see that opportunity. We need to start talking about leaving our ancestral legacy behind. We need to start talking about generational legacies
Exactly.
and things like that, and turn it into something bigger, more purposeful, and more meaningful than just dollars compared to, other countries.
Exactly. So to close off, I'd like you to just make some final remarks about your journey and here so far, and also what you're hoping to achieve in your settlement in Ghana.
Oh, wow. So far, coming to Ghana, I wanted to heal. I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
I am amazed at how fast I've been able to shift being here. I've connected to a new culture. I'm learning a new language. Mika fanti kakra.
Hey.
Akoko bono munsu. Mika fanti kakra. I'm learning about history from a different side. We forget that his story is just one person's side of it.
Of course.
And it's always the conqueror.
Exactly.
We don't get to hear about what was going on before.
Mm-hmm.
So even just coming and getting a more rich understanding of generationally what I've been feeling. There's a lot of things that I've been feeling and I didn't have words for them because they've been in me time and time again.
Yeah.
That's probably where reincarnation ideas came from. That's that, the
Yes.
epigenetics that's in me.
Exactly, yeah.
So Ghana has been an overall good experience for me. There were some unexpected hardships, some really tough times, but I know that I made the right decision and this is where I want to be.
Fantastic.
My goal is here to help elevate the self-worth, especially in women. I'm opening a business that's going to help already high-performing women take a healthy lifestyle for themselves so that things can get better across the board.
Yeah.
Everything will elevate for them. And through that, I'd like to be creating programs to work with youth. I really want to help raise the self-worth of Ghana. I think the reason that I'm made to stay here and not go somewhere that feels lighter and freer is because I know what it's like to feel like you're less than because other people told you that you were.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened to this country for hundreds of years. And I'm seeing the after effects of that shaming colonization. And if I can do it for myself, I know I can help guide other people to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything for them. I'll just share the knowledge, like the professional knowledge and the personal knowledge, put it together and, help elevate the worth of Ghana so that Ghana will start growing and developing and, you know, digging its heels in and only accepting those that are coming to help build the country, you know, like let's not accept those that are coming to take and go. We don't need the Galamsey, you know, mindset. Like, don't grab it all and sell it. No, like build something, put something in the ground, you know? So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's it for today. Thanks so much to Sarah for an insightful conversation. And to you, our cherished viewers and listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. And do grab yourself a copy of our book, The Great Return, which is on Amazon. And if you're thinking of doing business or investing in Ghana, then get in touch by visiting our website, tgrafrica.com, where you can book a consultation for business advice, guidance, and many, many more. And also to check out all the great stuff we're doing and how you can get involved. Thank you. See you in the next episode.